Yo, what's up? It's your boy Cino, man. Whew, how many times must we put this in perspective? We've been called clowns. I've been put in a barrel of other people. And for what? Now, let's get through this and let's get through it the way it's supposed to be. Now, you're telling me that I'm a clown because I said you were inaccurate, that you made a mistake. I didn't even call you a liar. I just said this is incorrect. That's it. Somebody could have told you that, and I didn't doubt if somebody told you that. I said that is inaccurate, which it was. Your takes that you made were inaccurate. Now, the same person you sat down and do those interviews with, you've had people who sat with Tupac in jail. I mean, actually served time when Tupac was serving. Sit down on that platform and talk to him. You've had people that was with Tupac like every day, rolling with him, sitting on that platform. Everybody around, sitting on the platform, people who were there, who saw him right before he got shot in Quad Studios, not one of them said Sean Puffy Combs. But you. And here's the situation that I'm not defending Puffy. I'm just stating a fact. Now, everybody know the reasoning of why he was violated, right? But Gene Deal comes out and says on a platform that Puffy knew that Tupac was gonna get dealt with that night. He knew. He had the vibe. He knew. Because it was him, Andre Harrell, and Jimmy Henchman all in the studios. Now, he also claimed that Tupac owed Jimmy Henchman money. Wow. Like I said, people could have told him this, but he's incorrect on both parts. We never called him a liar. We just said that's incorrect. Tupac didn't know Jimmy to borrow any money from Jimmy. That's one. Two, why would he need to borrow money from Jimmy when he was rolling with Jack? That doesn't make any sense. Pac didn't have to pay for nothing while he was in New York. Nothing. He was rolling with Jack. He was straight. He was filming above the rim right at that time. They used a stand-in to finish the final scenes, and that's how they ended up finishing the movie. They didn't even do a release for Bullet, the other film he had did with Mickey Rourke. They didn't even do a release for that because they just buried it and just sent it straight to video. Now, let's get into this, because I feel like this is like going over something that you already know. Little Sean was in the studio finna record a song. Pac was agreed out of the blue, and this happened after the whole case and after he was charged. Pac was going to court, doing interviews, back and forth, talking to the news, gave a report, talked to a reporter after leaving a nightclub, told these people that these rappers are all under extortion by these dudes and why their case got separated. And he was basically talking about Jack. Jimmy and them wasn't even involved. Didn't mention Jimmy at all. He said New York drug dealers. And he was wondering, she said all these people did this, why am I the only one on trial? Where's everybody else at? Which is a very good question. Why was only him on trial? So, with all of this going on, let's get it to perspective. Jack was one of the people who was upset about what he said and was trying to reach out to speak to him, to let him know what happened. But his lawyer said, don't talk to him, don't speak to him. And Pac was listening to his lawyer's advice not to speak to him. The people around Jack, whether Jack had something to do with it or didn't, decided to make a move. Jimmy was one of those people around him. Jimmy calls Pac out of the blue and says, I want you to record with my artist I got on my label, Lil Sean. Yeah, you could come do a feature with him. I got X amount of dollars, blah, 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 blah. Pac's like, I don't know that dude. So it's going to cost you this much. Like, I think he charged him like $5,000 or something. Like, I'd do it for 10 or something like that. The numbers is not important. But he agrees. So he said, bet. All right, I'll do the song. So Pac set the price. Jimmy agreed. And that was it. He's going to come to the studio and do the recording. Now, what Quiet Studios is an area that don't tolerate, gun violence. And it definitely, nobody conducts actions down there, of that nature. No, not at the studio, not down in that area. And it's a hard place to find. unless you really live there. You'll keep missing the place. And that's what Pacman was doing. They kept missing the studio. Pac had never recorded at Quad Studios before. And he was with another DJ, I think DJ Ron. He recorded a song with him. And that was right before, the incident happened. He was leaving out, and this guy, Jimmy, kept paging him. Like, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? You coming? You coming? I mean, all while he was there, he's getting all these pages. Like I'm on my way. Like, text him, like, we right here. And they literally was circling for like 20, 30 minutes, but he was making him think like something's up. Because, Pac is a paranoid individual anyway. So he just don't know what's gonna happen, especially after everything that just went down. So he could think, this is it. I'm at the end of my rope. This is it. This is the end of it. They coming to get me. So with all of that being said, there were a lot of people who kept, using their influence to try to disrupt or try to sabotage a majority of, the things that were happening at that said time. True to that. Now, the fact that Puffy would know, that's crazy. Right? Because, first of all, and this is what I find very weird. Sean Puffy Combs. You was his bodyguard. Why on earth would you think Puffy would want to be there if somebody was going to get violated? He ain't going to want to be there at all. And damn sure not Andre Harrell. And we'll get to that too, because he also made this statement again that he was told and named the person that told him. And I corrected him because he was incorrect again. And he doubled down on this note that Andre Harrell didn't like Tupac. And he's like, my God told me. Yeah, he didn't like Tupac after Tupac named him after he was shot. He didn't like Tupac. But he mainly didn't like Tupac after he was attacked in the Death Row Studios, but he definitely didn't like Tupac after he blames him for getting shot at Quad Studios and said they didn't try to help me, when that was the opposite of the truth. The only people that helped him, Jack didn't help. Jimmy didn't help. Jimmy was quiet. They sat there, put bandages on him. And everything. So they called 911. They came and got him help. Now, Puff didn't know Big Nim was even recording in the studio. And he was like, he said this other statement that didn't make sense. How is Lil C's gonna be on the roof, right? How Puff gonna say he didn't know they were there? And they on the roof, or they on the floor waving at him. Like, hey, Pop, how you gonna know they ain't there? Puff line. He was there to spy on Big, to make sure Big wasn't recording and writing for Junior Mafia. Now, whether that part is true, that's all theatrics, but that's like somebody being in an apartment building and they live on different floors. You might not see whoever on the 4th or 5th floor. And you live on the 3rd. They were recording on the 5th floor, Junior Mafia. They had daytime slots and they were recording on the 5th floor in Quad Studios. Puff was on the 3rd floor. He didn't even know Big Nim was there. Somebody was like, Big Nim upstairs recording. He was like, oh, they are? He was like, yeah, all right. And that was like, all right, they working. But he wasn't there to spy on them. Andre Harrell was there as his witness. He was in the studio with Lil Sean. And Puff, like he said, he wasn't even coming out. Jimmy invited them and Andre them to come up there. Because Jimmy was in the management. Now, the only way Pac knew of Jimmy is because Jack said, this guy should manage you. You should have Jimmy manage you. He'd do better than the manager you got now. And he was like, nah, man, we go back. This is my old school manager. So that's the only way he knew of Jimmy. And Jimmy was like, hey, I'll give you this. You know, like the only time he called him up was for that. So I don't know where you got that story that he owed Jimmy some money. That don't even make any sense. I really don't know where you got that from. That is incorrect. Now let's get to we've covered the Junior Mafia, how he didn't know they were there. They was on the 5th. Puff them was on the 3rd floor. So that's where, Jimmy and all of them were. Right? He gets accosted down there. C's only see him because he out there smoking on the balcony. And he looked down and he see Pac coming in. And he was like, yo, what's up? And that's when Pac tell you, that's when he felt relaxed. When he saw C's. All his thing about this might be a setup was gone. And then they tried to rob him. It was only supposed to be a robbery because they were down in Manhattan. You down in the area where this ain't supposed to be going down. And it just went there. And the guys that they with, fire went off. Everybody know that part. Addressing the rest of this tale, he stated that Andre Harrell hated Tupac. And I had to break it to him that no, because Andre Harrell was going to put him on New York Undercover. And he said, oh, it had to be no white producers that wanted him to do it. Now he pivots to, it must be the white producers. If Andre Harrell wanted him, that's because them white boys, them producers, wanted Tupac to do the show. Again, if you don't know, just say I don't know. It's okay. Don't pivot to a new lane of he hated Tupac. That's where you was at with it. He was with Tupac 2 nights before. In the club with Tupac. 2 nights prior. Malik Yoba was there with him, and Malik Yoba brought him to the set. That, like the morning before he was, I think it was like that morning, he brought Pac there, and he sat down and talked to Andre Harrell. And because you don't know, no white producer at no doggone Fox wanted Tupac on the New York Undercover because he was banned from Fox because of the incident that happened on The Living Color, where the limo driver was beat up by Tupac and his crew. And he sued Fox, In Living Color, and Tupac. And they had to pay this guy settlement. So he was banned from Fox, the whole network. So he talked to Andre Harrell to see if Andre Harrell could help him out in this situation. So you saying that the white producers wanted Tupac, it's a lie. He sat down and talked to, that part is not accurate. I'm not saying that you are a liar. But whoever told you this story, if they told you that part, they're lying. They lied to you. Andre Harrell sat down with Tupac. Tupac explained to him exactly everything that was going on, and he says, when the executives, he said, I'm going to set up the meeting with the executives, so because I want you to tell them exactly how you just explained it to me, and let them know. And Pac was like, thanks, because he needed that. And he's like, man, I need this. You know, like, he's like, I know you would be perfect for the show. So Pac was going to stay in New York and do New York Undercover. He wasn't planning on going back to LA. Doing none of this. This was not his plan. All his opportunities and the roles that he was getting was up here in New York at that time. So all the work and stuff, because of, Juice, this was the opportunities he had laid on the table for him. So that was the morning before the incident ever happened. So Andre Harrell knew Tupac was going to go to the studio to record. Yo, okay. I was making sure this thing was still working. So he knew Tupac was going to be there to record with Lil Sean. He was like, oh, okay, Pac coming to record with Sean. So it was that. And the fact that he got all this jewelry and stuff from Jack, and it was like going to get the jewelry from him. Rob him, pretty much. And I don't know if Jack sent it or they did it on their own. That I don't know, but all I know is we know that part of what happened. And this is just to give you clarity to the disprovalment. Now, he didn't like when Tupac blamed him for the incident. When they read the Vibe interview, that's when he didn't have any, like, man, I ain't got nothing to say about Tupac. And then Jimmy Andre Harrell, after what happened in Suge's studio, when he went to the offices of Death Row and, hands was put on. Andre got up and left the country. Like, he was gone for a while. So, like I said, man, it's just different strokes for different folks. I have no idea how these guys are going to proceed moving forward, because all of the actions that you see before you, man, people just keep trying to rewrite history, and it's just not necessary to do. I understand. People want to make money. I get it. People want to make money doing this, make money doing that. But it's like, damn, there's other things to talk about. quit confusing these people, man. I mean, and for the dude who's doing the interviews, you should know better. I mean, it's not your fault. I'm just saying, you've sat down with all of these people. Why would Jimmy tell Puffy anything? Why do you think Jimmy would sit there and tell Sean Puffy Combs what he about to do? I'm about to violate Pac. Y'all don't mind, do you? If I go ahead and violate this man, do you? Alright, thanks. He ain't gonna tell Andre Harrell and Sean Puffy Combs nothing. That's crazy. Somebody like Jimmy, is finna tell them the plot. And they all in cahoots knowing something finna happen to Tupac there. Where, he finna get jacked. And they finna be around that. If they ever knew and got wind of it, they gonna be, I don't want no parts of whatever this is finna be. Yeah, I ain't gonna be nowhere near Quiet Studio. Why the hell would they be there? It don't make sense. None of the stuff they saying makes sense. And nobody's questioning it. Everybody's just taking it at face value. Like, okay. And it's just like, wow. That's just really far. Just because I want to sell this narrative because I don't like him. You know what I'm saying? I don't like him, so this got to be the narrative. Because I don't like him. This has been a known problem for months, and people are not taking the matter seriously. And it's seeping into desperate hours, and painful moments. And it's not necessary. So when you see these things happening, you got to start questioning it and say, hey, what the hell is going on here? This is not making any sense. And it's becoming a growing problem. The whole internet game right now is weird. So, like I said, just weird. I know. So, I didn't mean to take up all y'all time. Appreciate everything y'all be saying and doing in the chat. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bus Life. Want to say what's up to Welcome to HDII TV. And I'm out. Oh yeah, and join the Patreon too. Karceno for life. I almost forgot to promote myself. Deuces.